Kenny Leach again with the National Football Foundation, St. Louis, Tom Lombardo chapter. And we are interviewing today a young head coach out of DeSmet by the name of Robert Steeples. And I met Robert during a time where we had given a recognition and an award to their program there at DeSmet. And I was just immensely impressed with his personality and his mindset. So we're going to talk a little bit about his style and his culture and for his team and for his life. And I think you'll find it interesting. So please join me in talking to Robert Steeples.
Okay, good.
So that's you're right there in a nice setting, man. I love that.
Yeah, I was up here at the school getting some work done. So it matched up well with my Sundays.
I understand that.
I love the helmets behind you, buddy. You got some good ones, man. The Vikings, the Cowboys. What's the one on the far right? I can't see. Is that?
That's the helmet from our championship season. So all the players signed it for me. It's actually Jordan Johnson's helmet. So.
Oh wow! And he's at Notre Dame right now. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's at Notre Dame right now.
That'd be nice if somebody else could be at Notre Dame pretty soon, huh?
Yeah, they got some guys they got their eyes on.
Bummer. You know, well, look at, I was just thinking about this and I was looking, I'm thinking, holy smokes, man, you are a young head coach that have some great success already. It's amazing at your age, buddy. You got a bright future ahead of you.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. It's had a lot of good people I come across along the way. And, you know, the awesome part is at this point in my career, you know, I'm still very hungry and there's a lot that I can learn. So those two things coupled, there's enough motivation to keep it going.
It's always good to be hungry, I think.
Yeah. I hope that never stops.
Yeah. Me, I enjoy it. So, you know, maybe something wrong with me, but I enjoy the process, but also I make sure I don't do it at the expense of my family. So it's just about being intentional with your time. And so I'm learning that process.
The people I've found that put family first, and they do come second a lot of times, they just willingly do so. But the ones that really keep that perspective are usually the best coaches.
Yeah, I mean, it helps a lot to, I mean, they're my peace. And for many people, that's your peace. And so as up and down as athletics are, if that's your peace, you know, it's you know, that's an investment that's a little different. So they keep me going, they keep me in a good headspace. And I have to be the same for them. So it's a mutual relationship.
Now, you started out there, you went to school there and played there. Tell us a little bit about that, how that all started and your experience there at DeSmet as a player.
As a player, you know, it was a journey about growth. You know, coming, you know, from where I grew up at in Ferguson, Florissant area. Initially was a culture shock, but then it was also eye-opening opportunity as, you know, you got to meet people from all different walks of life. I think one of the most awesome parts about DeSmet is, you know, we pull, you know, young men from all different areas of the city and the county. And so, you know, it was awesome to just, you know, meet people from different walks of life, feed off of each other, motivate each other, and just see how awesome diversity can be. And so it was a journey of personal growth and also social growth. I had to get outside of my shell. And I think the best thing DeSmet did was challenge me. They put me in many challenging positions that led to me developing my leadership style. You know, if I would have had it my way as an 8th grader coming in, I would have been a fly on the wall. You know, I'm the youngest of 6. I'm used to being observant and sitting back. DeSmet said, no, we want to get you out there and get you leading. And I think that was the foundation that led to me becoming a coach.
You know, I noticed with the denominations, like you know, they all have their own like theme and everything. And the Jesuits, I've always noticed, have been really, just a really amazing organization where, you know, perfection and always really high standards in that. What did you learn from going to a Jesuit school that might have kind of trickled into your coaching style?
Yeah, no, like you mentioned, all the different denominations. But with being a Jesuit, the main thing that comes to mind with Jesuit is service. You know, a commitment to service through education. And so, you know, no matter what denomination or religious affiliation you do have, service and education are important. And so, you know, when I think of a Jesuit education, I think about what it means to learn how to better yourself so that you can be of greater service to others. And here at DeSmet, you know, we model being men for and with others. That doesn't mean it's just limited to males. It's also learning how to be an asset and a colleague and a support system for females as well. And so that's really what I see as Jesuit education is a commitment to service, a commitment to growing your community, and a commitment to academic excellence and the work ethic that comes with it.
Well, and that branches out into not just football, but life, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think it's a huge life goal, or a life aspiration, you know, to better your fellow man or woman. And so that's what we really try to do is try to inspire young men here, so that they can go inspire the world and also remain inspired themselves, you know. And so you know, let's learn how to lead from a leadership position, but also from a follower role.
The way I ended up meeting you for the first time was when we met for that luncheon, and you won the award for the National Football Foundation College Hall of Fame for your program there. And you got a really unique program that kind of stems from what you're talking about there. Can you tell us a little bit about that, the MAD program and all?
Yeah, so the Madman program was something that came about. It's really it's a system, but it came about after my first year coaching, you know, at DeSmet. You know, obviously we had our challenges ahead of us, and I just wanted to have a consistent message, with a lot of clarity on the back end of it. And so as I started to, you know, really get to know DeSmet from an educator's perspective and not just a student's perspective, you come to see that a lot of people send their sons here with the hope that they would be developed into better men. And so I started thinking, well, what qualities would you like to see, you know, in a young man by the time they leave my football program? And so we came up with MAD. It's spelled MAAD. It's an acronym for mindset, accountability, action, and discipline. And the way we look at it is mindset is just mental toughness, being able to focus on the task at hand, regardless of what's going on around you. Accountability is just being bought into a standard, you know, with every fiber of your being. And that standard is a standard that comes from your family, a standard within a team or an organization, and also the school standard. And then action was a huge one for us. And it's really about putting action behind your aspirations. So not just talking about it or tweeting about it, but you know, if you tell me what your aspirations are, I should be able to look at your daily actions and they should match up, you know. And then discipline is just an intentionality. It's being intentional with your preparation, consistent in execution. And then the men part was huge because a man is nothing more than an adult. So this could be mad man, this could be mad woman. And an adult is just a person that's ready to lead. And so and lead through meaningful relationship. So we say if you're mentally tough, you're accountable, you're about action, and you're disciplined, then you're ready to lead through meaningful relationships. And so, like I said, here at DeSmet is all male school. So it's the Mad Men program, but it's really just a system that's meant to squeeze every ounce of ability out of the individual, but also out of the group and the community, and in our case, the team.
So you're setting the culture is what you're really doing. It's really a popular thing, even in businesses nowadays. You're setting a culture that is optimal for your situation. With a culture, the one thing you always have to have is buy-in. How do you get the buy-in from the players?
I think the buy-in is from being in the trenches with the kids, allowing them to take ownership in this process. You know, I told them I did not get the head coaching job because I know everything. You know, I know what I know. I'm gonna try to learn what I need to know, and what I don't know, I'll find somebody who does. You know, and I'll educate myself as well. And so, you know, the buy-in really came from our young men realizing that success is not just fate. All right. First of all, how we define success, first off, is success is not an end goal. You know, it's a journey. It's gifts. You know, it's intangibles that you develop. And if you put your all into it, then that's success. but also teaching our young men that success is not just a thing of fate. You can take ownership in it. And if you surround yourself with the right people, and remain open to growth, you'll have an increased likelihood of reaching those the level. And like I say, not just the end goal, but the levels that you want to get to in your life. And so the ownership was a huge part of our buy-in, and the guys knowing that, like, hey, we can be whatever we want to be, regardless of what statistics tell us. We can be as successful as we want to be. We just got to learn how to do it with a certain level of gratitude and love for those around us, and trust in God.
Robert, this is the kind of stuff that really attracted me to you and really impressed me that day I met you. I was totally impressed with what you were saying and your attitude and everything. And I really look at, with gratitude, that that's what we need. It's not all about football. It's about, setting an example and being a good role model. And, so I just wanted to tell you, that's what led me to you,
I appreciate that. I would say our young men, one thing that is the pandemic has taught me, and even our young men, is to approach things with increased level of gratitude. Initially it created a little bit of panic and anxiety because you didn't know how much time you had with things. But now I just think as they look back, I look at our past couple of seasons, they just approach it with an increased level of gratitude, and that makes things more worthwhile.
You had a good season. The final game, that's a heartbreaker, I know, but man, you played some good teams. It's been disrupted. How do you handle the disruption? What are you looking forward to? And what's your mindset right now?
Yeah, last season we got bit pretty hard by the injury bug. We had 9 young men that had to get surgery throughout the season. But at the end of the day, I think we're competitors, and we expected to go into that championship game and win. And there's some lessons we can learn from it. And once again, it comes back to ownership. Everybody in this program is taking ownership for what we can do to learn from those, from the lessons of the previous season. Going into this season, I talked to my young men about, what a successful season looks like, and what we all agreed upon is a successful season for us is one where we become more of a family, in 3 ways we're going to focus on becoming a family. We had our 3 C's. All right. You're going to celebrate a teammate each day. You're going to connect with a teammate each day, and you're going to challenge a teammate each day and allow yourself to be challenged. And I say, if you do those 3 things, you're making the steps towards becoming a family. And so, we're going to have goals, but whether you reach those goals or not, you'll know that you got family there to pick you up. And I think that's what carries on beyond DeSmet and outside of football. And that's what I want them to get from this game. It's not just the scholarships and the championships, but the lasting relationships that come with football and the impact they can have on community.
So you talked. I've seen some things that you talked about, and people have written about you, where you said you'd rather have a player-led team than a coaching-led team.
Mm-hmm.
And that sounds like exactly what you're building. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I've been raised to believe, and I'm a firm believer myself, that a coach-led team can be good, but a player-led team can be highly effective and even more successful. And once again, it comes back to ownership. I think when the players realize the input and the voice, them having a voice within this team, I think they can be great. The worst thing a coach can be is out of touch. The worst thing a leader can be is out of touch. And so I'm heavily relying on my players. I think the approach we take is very empowering. My role as a coach is to be aware of the team aspirations and also the individual aspirations and make sure they're being aligned on a consistent basis, but also to empower them to know that they got a voice in this process to say so. Obviously, I'm going to try to do my best to lay out a vision, but I'm really a support system. And that's a fine line you have to straddle from being in the trenches, but also still maintaining, your position as the leader of the program. And so our guys have handled that very well. I love my guys. I challenge them, but I let them know, I'm not your friend. My first job is to develop you and do the best I can to get you to your goals. But in that process, we do it the right way. You're going to have a friend and, and a loving relationship with them. And so that's kind of the point we've gotten to. with this program.
When did you know that, when did you first know that you wanted to be a coach? Was it inspired by someone, or just, tell us a little bit about that too, please.
I became a coach without the awareness that I would, be a coach. One of my favorite stories from the Bible is the story of David and Goliath. And I've often said that the best part of this story is not that, little David slayed big Goliath, is what he did before he took on that challenge. He looked back at his journey and everything that God had taken him through. And by the time he looked back on that journey, he realized he was more than prepared for what lied ahead. And what I did was, when the opportunity to coach at DeSmet came about, I had been substitute teaching and getting ready for the classroom stuff, but I was just doing that more so to give back. And actually, I ended up getting a lot in return from the kids I got to work with. But, when the opportunity presented itself, it was kind of an awestruck moment, like, wow, I can come back to my alma mater. But as I look back on my journey and the people in my life, I was like, this is an opportunity I'm prepared for. It's not going to be easy, it's going to take work. I would say my biggest influence looking back in my past was my dad. He was a volunteer Little League coach for over 20 years. And just seeing, the sleepovers we had, the amount of kids we had, and he did all of this free of charge. And he's been in young men's weddings, he's been to their graduations, and just seeing the impact he had and the passion he had, I had a great foundation as far as how this should be done. And he did that free of charge, and so I take that same approach. I don't have as a transactional relationship with coaching. I witnessed my dad have a transformational relationship with coaching, and that's the approach I want to take. So I would say my pops is probably my biggest influence as a coach. He's been my
dad was the same way. Kelly can attribute to that too. So let's not leave out your mom. She's doing all the washing, all that stuff, and taking it.
Oh man, my mom is the captain. So I'll tell you right now, is she doing the washing? No, we all are. We had 6 kids. It was 4 boys, 2 girls. We all had to learn how to cook. We all had to learn how to do laundry. We all play sports. Interestingly enough, my sports role models were my sisters growing up, because they were the 4 oldest. And so they were the ones that got me on the basketball court, that, got me in the football field. So they were kind of my inspiration. But my mom, she's such a loving heart and kind heart. There's a lot of things that happen, in society and just in this city of St. Louis that we deal with that can really harden you. But, having somebody like my mother, to just constantly keep that optimism and joy and be a foundation for our family has been awesome. And, I've been pretty blessed to have both of my role models under the same roof as me.
They deserve a lot more credit than they get, right?
No, man, they do. That's I try to thank them with my efforts as best I can. So.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you something that I'll comment on is that first meeting that you had with Kenny, my big brother. I'm the youngest of 6, by the way. And
Okay.
your character and your, contagious energy is so evident. And when Kenny met you for the first time and he talked to you at that meeting, he told me about it. It was like, we talked about it right after that. And he was like, gosh, this guy's a great guy. He just had so many good things to say about you. And so I'm so excited to be able to meet you and to hear you talk about your experiences.
The biggest thing I learned, so when I was still playing NFL, I was substitute teaching all season, right? Like, we had a lot of awesome camps and big name players that were doing great camps from St. Louis. So I was like, no football camps. Friends suggested substitute teaching, right? And that was my way to connect, not just with young men that care about football, but young men and women in general. And I remember the biggest takeaway from that substitute teaching, because I would bounce around from different schools, is that, I went into it like, all right, I'm gonna pour knowledge into these kids. But as I start going through it a few years in, being open enough to where I could be inspired too. You go into it and you're like, I'm gonna teach them and, I'm gonna show them the way, and then I'm like, man, they're inspiring me and they're motivating me. And so that's one big thing that I carried over with myself to DeSmet, is just allow yourself to be open-minded enough and I would say clear-hearted or clear-minded enough and open-hearted enough to be inspired by others. And so there's times, I have rough days too, and those kids keep me going. And I think that's why we can have more consistency. We feed off each other. I got coaches that I feed off of as faculty members here at the school. But I would say the biggest thing from teaching is not just inspiring, but allowing yourself to be inspired. And so, I'm at a fortunate enough age where I'm, young enough to connect, but still old enough to lead. But, I'm getting some gray hairs.
Yeah. Well, at least you have some. That's, don't forget that.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, I think your hair grew since last time I saw you.
I think you're right. Very observant.
The pandemic is doing amazing things at the same time.
Yeah, man, he got some. You might be growing some dreadlocks here soon.
This is Ray. It's adult blonde. That's what
okay. I got you. A matte. I got you a matte black. Makes sense.
So let's talk a little bit about like you going from DeSmet and then going on to, I know you got to play at Mizzou and you got to play it, for the Tigers down in Memphis University. How do those programs contrast and how are they alike?
Well, obviously it's a high level competition. One thing, and I tell my players this as they go into college, every coach that you come across, because we're going to have our favorites, we're going to have the ones we're not fans of, but every coach or mentor you come across coaches to a different part of you. And so, be aware of that, take ownership of the gaps, but be aware who they coach to. And so, at Mizzou with, Pinkel and Odom and those guys, Pinkel's very disciplined coach. He's very big on self-motivation. He was very big on discipline. Like if you're supposed to be at 10 yards, I want you at 10. I don't want you at 10 and a half,
Right.
And so it was a very disciplined approach. Pat Ivy was an amazing strength coach, probably one of my biggest influences, along with Barry and Pat, just really empowered us in the weight room. He set very achievable, landmarks along the way where he created a lot of small victories for us. He focused on mental conditioning, which is the just finding out how much in control of your mind is or your body, positive self-talk. So it was at Mizzou, I learned not just how to work hard, but how to work smart and do it with discipline. As I got to Memphis, Odom kind of threw me in a situation, him and Fuente, where I had to be more of a leader. And so there it was, getting back to the roots. Who am I? Who do I want to be for my teammates? I started realizing the enthusiasm that I kind of kept inside when I played at Mizzou. I needed to show that in a more outward manner because my teammates feed off of it. And so at Memphis, it was, more so pushing us in a physical way. It was challenging because I had come to a program that had, I think, won maybe 3 or 4 games in the past 3 years, similar to DeSmet in the previous 3 years before I got here. So seeing Fuente and Odom and Chris Vaughn lay this foundation of turning a program around that was in obscurity at the time, I did not know how invaluable that experience would be from a player's perspective, because I knew what it felt like to, you didn't want to have a conditional relationship with your coach, where if things are good, they're speaking to you, but when things are bad, they're like, who are you? And so that didn't happen at Memphis. They created victories, small victories for us along the way that, they didn't accept losing as if people were entitled to just whoop us, but at the same time, they were like, all right, we lost, but we did some good things. And then when we start winning, like we won, but there's still some stuff we got to work on. And so being a part of that turnaround and also being a part of a program like Mizzou that was successful for an extended period of time, that contrast really kind of just helped develop my leadership style and realize, how important alignment is amongst the team as far as finding a common goal.
So you said something that really attracted my attention. You mentioned it twice. You said small victories, and that can apply to life, and probably you can help a lot of kids that might be watching this. What's the importance of small victories?
I think with small victories is, a lot of times we're responsible for our own momentum, right? You hear it talk about a sports perspective, but we have our rough days and we have our great days, and it's on us to take the momentum from the previous day and carry it over in a positive way. And so small victories are, for me, it's initially writing down some goals and aspirations you have. And then that action part of Madman is writing out a daily plan of how to get to that, right? Like if I want to be, a better math student. Well, you know what? Each day that I have math, you know what? I'm going to spend an extra 15 to 20 minutes after class meeting with my teacher about this subject. You know, I'm going to start working with a classmate of mine, in the way that's not cheating, that can help me, you know, with that class. And so those are small victories as a young athlete. You know, you're playing youth sports. You know, instead of saying, "Hey, I want to go to the NFL," well, what do I need to do with my seventh grade team? What do I need to do with my sixth grade team to be a better teammate? Because you don't get to that point until you address this. And so small victories are, you know what, instead of saying, "Hey, I want the starting spot," say, "Hey, I'm going to do my best with every single rep I get, whether that's 5 or 20 reps." And then it'll make case for more reps. Like I say, same goes with education, same goes with life. I want to be a better child, a better daughter, a better son, right? Like, all right, well, I'm going to clean my room, you know, every Wednesday and Saturday, right? I'm going to ask mom or dad if they need help with dishes on Friday because I know it's been a long work week. So just small victories, small opportunities for service, and that's doing things for yourself or doing things for others. And so those were created for us, you know, at Memphis. In fact, where it was like, I know everything didn't go the way you wanted, but here are little things you can do along the way that are getting you in the direction you want to go. And that's what we tried to recreate at DeSmet.
So two goals that I had when I asked you to do this, Robert, one of them was to let people know you because, you know, I think you're an impressive guy. And I have to say, you know, when they just see the face of a winning coach is winning like crazy, and sometimes people get the wrong idea totally, don't even know what you're about.
Mm-hmm.
So I want people to see that because you're awesome as far as that goes, and a good leader and the role model that we need out there in the football, representing football. The second thing is obviously, you know, we want people that are members for the NFF to know that we are supporting the right people, you know, so we recognize your program, obviously, because it's a great program. What does that mean to you? What's it do for you? I mean, can you give us, you know, NFF a little plug on what it means to coaches like you?
Yeah, I mean, when I initially got the acknowledgement from the NFF, the first thing that came to mind was community. When I speak, any award that is associated with our football program, I see community, and that's not just within these walls here at DeSmet, but that's within the greater St. Louis and Missouri community. And the NFF has, it's our job to encourage one another, encourage people who are along the right path, reach out for others who may be straying away, and that encouragement can go a long way. And I think what the NFF is doing a really good job of showing people the impact that they can have on others, giving people their roses while they're still within the community here, but also acknowledging those that are along the right path so that they can be examples to others. I think being the youngest of six, similar to you, Kelly, some of our best lessons came from watching our older siblings, those who went before us. And I think the NFF highlighting certain individuals and coaches like myself allows us to put certain leaders in the forefront to say, hey, you can achieve success, but you can also go about doing it the right way. And you need a community and a village to do it. And so that's what I see when I receive that accolade from the NFF was, I hope my players, I hope my community, I hope my city can see themselves in it, and not just see it as something that is exalting myself, but you know, exalting the good that NFF can do in our community.
Yes, you made the NFL. That's an area I don't know anything about, and probably 1/1000th of a fraction of the football players make it that far. But then the other 999 are going to be doctors and lawyers and firemen, and we have to instill in them some sort of you know, something deep inside them that'll help carry them through that, right?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think one thing I don't do is I don't focus on statistics. They take care of themselves. You know, what statistics say, right? Only, you know, 3% of athletes, and it's not just about scholarships, but only 3% of athletes in the country go play college football. Well, 12 of our 20 seniors are signing football scholarships this year. And I tell guys, statistics will take care of themselves. It's just your job to surround yourself with people, good people, and learn from good leaders so that you can be a sponge and push yourself to your aspirations. And even those guys that make it to the NFL, like you say, we got future doctors, lawyers, entrepreneurs, musicians, right? Innovators. Even those who do make it to the NFL, they're still future doctors, right? And that game still comes to an end. That sport still comes to an end. And I don't say it comes to an end to let you know, like, oh man, increase too much urgency or pressure, but really just say, have gratitude because it will come to an end, but also know that there's life after sports that is just as enjoyable. I enjoyed being a coach and a teacher just as much as I did playing. It's just I was different phases of my life. I was ready for different things, but I think to the young athletes out there, dream big and surround yourself with people who dream just as big as you, but be willing to put the work in. And I didn't achieve every goal I wanted in sports, but man, that journey was worth it. Knowing that I put my all into it, I could sleep well at night, and I got to enjoy it with other people around me. I got to celebrate my friends, and so yeah, dream big, but I know they say plan A and plan B is really just putting your all in and where you're at, and then you'll take what comes with it.
Well, I think what you're handing out to these kids is going to satisfy them whether they play in a Division I or NFL, or they become a doctor, a lawyer, a fireman, or a truck driver.
Yep.
I think you're giving them some really good things that'll give them a good base in life. And I, for one, appreciate that greatly, what you're doing.
I do too. Robert, you're the real deal.
Yep.
My friend, you are the real deal. You are impacting lives and changing lives, and you won't even know the impact that you're having on people. The impact that you have on us right now, just with a brief moment that we get to be a sponge with your knowledge and the way you lead. It's pretty cool. I would say that you really inspire and empower others, to have to understand what it's like to be a part of a team, to be respectful and trust and care and community and service oriented.
So let me ask you a lighter side here.
Positive self-talk, all the things that you're. Yeah.
Oh, you froze up.
No, it's okay. We skipped.
No,
Go ahead.
Sorry, you froze up, so I thought you were done. That was my fault.
Yeah. At least you smile when it froze, so you're good.
Oh, good.
Good job, Kelly.
That's
You
gonna
won't
look
have to
good.
cut that out.
Yeah,
As long as it looks good, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think I probably said something like really genius right then. I'm just gonna say that no one's gonna know, but I don't know where I froze, but I will say that your positive self-talk and the impact that you have on others' lives, including ours, teaching how to really be a team with respectful trust, care, community. That's something that is such a gift. So I don't know what else I said, but I know it was really good.
No, I think I would say I'll say it's easier to inspire when you've been inspired. You know what it feels like. You just live your truth, man. These are not just my words; these are the people that I've come in contact with in my life and my journey. So, like I say, just like the accolades are all of us, so are these words, and I'm still on the journey. So, you guys taking the time out to speak with me, that does mean a lot, because, it's an opportunity for us all to create a platform to inspire others. I think none of us are here on this conversation to promote ourselves. We're trying to just promote positivity and empower those who listen to this conversation and that associate with the NFL.
Well, I'm gonna try to end it on a light note before we end here. So this is a question that most of my friends, they have an answer to kind of surprise you. But okay, so what were your numbers that you chose in high school and in college, and what significance did they have, if any, or were you just handed what you got?
No, so I used to love Charles Woodson. So my number was initially 2, right? Charles Woodson won the Heisman out of Michigan when I really start watching football. Playing at City Rec, that was a little league organization I played with and my dad coached with. We did not have a number 2. So I started transitioning to 22. So actually I was blessed enough to wear 22 at DeSmet. Had to fight for that one. When I signed with Mizzou, there was a big conversation I had. Me being a kid, I was like, I don't really want to be there unless I can get 22. And so, coach, appreciate him. He did a good job of getting that 2-2 for me. We had somebody graduating, so I got that. And then when I was at University of Memphis, when I graduate transferred there, they gave me #1. And I was like, nah. So I worked out a trade with the starting running back. And so he took 1 and I took 22. So 22 has been my number. Steeples is a long last name, so it looks good next to it. I'm named after my dad, so and after my grandpa, but I like to look at myself as a junior. So, being the second Robert Steeples, I always liked the 22. So that was my big number. Yeah.
So it did have a significant. I mean, I can
Oh
almost.
yeah, huge. If I could coach in a jersey right now, if coaches wore jersey numbers, I'd be 22. If I was a baseball manager, yeah.
That is too funny. It's funny when you get down to those little things that you wouldn't know about it, and then there's always a story behind it. There's something that means something there, right?
Well, actually, our kids, they have to, because of that big deal that numbers are to me. Our kids earn their jersey numbers. So every year, based off weight room attendance, work ethic, and academic performance, we take those 3 into account. And based off where you stand, whether you're a returning starter, or All-American, or an incoming freshman, you're gonna earn your jersey number based off those factors.
I love it. So
deal to me.
It's like a selection night, huh? Where you?
Yeah, it's like like we do. Obviously, we have our number board, kind of like a depth chart, like where you're ranking. So like 1 through 100, and then it's like, all right, this is where you fall in line. And then we also do a draft. I remember I talked to you about we do the draft with the kids in the summer. So I myself was undrafted. I always dreamed of being drafted. The only time I got drafted in my life was at a 7th grade basketball camp at DeSmet. Nick Dressler drafted me. So I was like, I want my kids to at least have one experience to get drafted. And so we do a player draft for our summer barbecue. And it gets intense. They get to call the plays. They get to create their teams. We had one team one year did not draft a single quarterback. They just ran the ball. So yeah, so we're always telling like, hey, your teammates are scouting you, you better be ready. So we do drafts for that in different sports that we play. So it's always
fun. Yeah. So make it fun along the way. That's another little lesson I think that we can hand out to people. It's got to be fun, right?
Yeah. I would say you play football. Always, I took a little. It's from one of my favorite football movies, Little Giants, right? And they say, you don't play football because you're good at it. You play it because it's fun. And I think that goes with any sport. Play it because it's fun, not just because you're good at it. Every level I've been at, I played it because it was fun, and I coach it because it's fun. And I'm going to make sure we keep it fun, even though there's a lot of other opportunities to be had, and they come with it. Let's make sure we're doing it for fun.
Well, you mentioned Woodson, and I think he just got inducted to the Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah, I wear my Charles Woodson jersey every Super Bowl, even though it's been a while since the Raiders been. Yeah. But I my biggest mistake, we played Charles Woodson. My rookie year was his last year in the NFL. Went and talked to him on the field, told him he's the reason why I play. Yeah. Cornerback, like I wanted to be a corner more than anything because of Charles Woodson, and forgot to get a picture with him. Yeah. Oh man, so I did meet Denzel Washington when I was playing for Dallas, and so I ran off the practice field. I was like, I don't care if you cut me. And so I have my my little picture. My little Denzel Washington picture. Oh, it's sitting right here from back in the day. That's my dog right there. Oh, so I was super pumped up about that one.
And I'll tell you, I'm totally impressed with him. I've heard him say a few things that are just really, this guy's an intelligent guy,
Oh man, he's awesome. He says hearses don't come with U-Hauls, right? Can't take anything to the grave with you, so make sure you pour it into others. And so that was a huge talk that he had with us when I met him. But
my uncle used to say, don't be the richest person in the cemetery. It was kind of the same thing.
Yes, that's the same line, exactly, right? So that one stuck with me. And he shared that message with others, but I think he was shooting an old Western movie, and I was in the middle of training camp, so we both had struggle stashes, just really bad, unshaved mustaches. And so he had the Fu Manchu, the Hulk Hogan, and I just looked like a guy that was on week 3 of training camp. So.
Maybe this August, if the COVID stuff relaxes, and it's a layup from here to Ohio, buddy. Canton, Ohio. Head down there. You might be able to still get that picture with
Man,
with your idol.
I tried to catch him at the Super Bowl. We went to the one versus the Vikings. That's where my wife is from, Minnesota. So she lived right up the street. Her parents did. So we went there and they were commentating, but it was like 18 below. And I was like, I'm a fan, but you know, this Minnesota code different. So,
Well,
I'm
Charles
gonna get that
Woodson,
jersey signed.
Charles Woodson, if you're out there and you're watching this, I think we need a little photo moment here.
Oh man, I got to get a photo with my guy. I'm gonna get one with him. And then I used to love Ed Reed, so we'll figure it out. We'll find a way. Twitter exists, so now it's a little easier.
Yep.
Well, I had that jersey since 6th grade, so it was pretty awesome.
Robert, I want to thank you for your time. I really appreciate it because I know it was kind of short, notice too, but I knew you just being natural that you were going to be impressive and be interesting for our members to watch. And we're trying to do that now with the restrictions. We're trying to bring something to them, some interest stories, and yours is certainly one of them.
Well, Ken, you know, with your passion and leadership, I know we stayed connected since our first meeting. I think NFL's headed in the right direction. Kelly, and also meeting you. You guys keep each other encouraged, but I think what you guys are doing with the foundation is awesome, and this is what our city needs. And so there's many others out there, not just me, that are doing some good stuff, and there's some future leaders out there, and I hope this plays a role in keeping all of them encouraged. I know it's definitely been a bright spot in my day.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.